advances to the Final Four.
Shout out Chillinois Basketball Podcast.
Shout out to Chillinois Podcast.
Shout out Chillinois Podcast.
Shout out Chillinois Basketball, man.
Welcome back to the Chillinois Basketball Podcast. As always, with me is Noah Morgano, and I'm Chase Swearingen. We got I don't want to say big game tomorrow, more like a business trip for the Illini tomorrow against Penn State in Philadelphia. They'll play at 6 p.m. Central Time against Penn State. This game is another odd one for the Illini when they travel out to the East Coast. Not an odd time necessarily, it's 6 p.m., but they are playing in the Palestra, which is one of the oldest college basketball arenas in the United States. I think if I'm correct, it's hosted the most college basketball game. Yeah, it's hosted more college basketball games than any other arena in the country. It is the home of the Penn University or University of Pennsylvania men's basketball team, the Quakers. It opened in 1927. To some, I don't know. If you're an old head, maybe. I have never heard it known as the Cathedral of College Basketball before, but that is what it's saying on Google. So it's a pretty historic arena. It's a smaller environment than the Illini are used to playing in, at least at State Farm Center. But it'll be interesting, I suppose. Mostly just from the environment, I don't expect to be crazy because there's not too many Penn State fans watching Penn State basketball right now. They're not extremely good. But also, I mean, it is smaller than most arenas. The fans sit closer to the court. You'll see it on TV tomorrow. It kind of looks like a high school gym. So, I mean, it doesn't have to have a whole lot of fans in it to be loud. So I guess we'll see how the Illini respond to that. But I think it'll be kind of interesting for the European players on both sides because they've played in environments like this before. If you go to like Slovakia, or if you go to Serbia, or if you go to any of those countries that host European basketball games, usually the stadiums are a little bit narrower. The fans sit closer to the court. There's oftentimes flares in the crowd too. I don't think we'll see flares tomorrow or fireworks in the stands, but nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see how the European players for the Illini, and then Penn State has some European players of their own. It'll be fun to watch them go against each other. Noah, what are your thoughts on this game? Those are my quick thoughts that I was just rattling off. I don't think the Illini will have much trouble with this one, but what do you think?
Yeah, I don't expect them to have too much trouble. We know that historically with Penn State and these weird off-site games, I don't know why they keep doing them against Illinois. It doesn't make any sense. I guess they know that we can't win in these neutral environments, these I want to say YMCA-like environments. At least 2 years ago, it was Coleman Hawkins and TSJ. That was pretty bad. That was a monumental crash out by Coleman at the end of that game. I remember we were up by like at least double digits with a
They were
couple
up
minutes
11
left
or
in the
nine
game.
and a half.
Yeah, and we just absolutely fumbled the bag on that one. That was one of the worst ones I've seen in a while. And I think Penn State smells blood in the water, and they knew that that happened. And they're like, "Oh, we can get him again. We'll play at the Palestra." So I don't like that it's at that weird environment, but I don't think it's going to matter with this Illinois team. I think that they're composed. I think that they can get the job done. But it is going to be really interesting. You mentioned the different European guys that they have. They have two itches on their team. So I think that could play in favor of Illinois because the Europeans are used to playing the Europeans, and we got more Europeans than they do. So I don't know. If it comes down to battle of the Europeans, I'm confident in Illinois' ability. But I don't think that's what it's going to come down to, unfortunately. I think you're going to see that Mingo, who his
Hayden,
brother, if I'm not mistaken, is the guy that Illinois was recruiting, correct? Dylan Mingo, is that the same? Is that the brother?
that sounds right. But Caden's pretty good.
Yeah, and so I mean, I was looking at their stats, and he leads the team in points and rebounds and assists, and
Every
like,
major
okay.
category.
So maybe it's another one of those scenarios where they have one good guy and you get, maybe place Kylan on him and hopefully he doesn't go off for 40 points. Yeah, I don't think that he's capable of that like some of the other guys have been that Illinois played. But nonetheless, he's going to be really, really good, and Illinois is going to have to not let the hostile crowd. And I don't, I mean, I can't imagine Illinois fans are going to travel out to Pennsylvania. out to what is it, Philadelphia?
Yeah, Philly.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe they will, but I think it's going to be another one of those weird games like 2 years ago. And I don't want to say that Illinois is guaranteed to win, but I do think that they should win this game. Now, granted, Penn State, their only two losses, I think, are to Big Ten teams this year. So it's not like they're terrible by any means, but you like to think that Illinois has kind of separated themselves from the middle tier of the Big Ten.
Yeah, Penn State so far, they are 0-2 in Big Ten play. They lost to Indiana and Michigan State, but they kept it pretty close against Michigan State. They only lost by 4 at home. And then their other two losses are to a 34-point loss to Pittsburgh, who's actually surprisingly pretty good this year, and then Providence they lost to by 12. Um, so I mean, besides that, they haven't really played anybody of note. So their schedule is a little, or their record is a little inflated in the win column, I would say. Their non-conference wasn't that stacked. Nonetheless, like we've said before, this is going to be one of those weird games potentially for the Illini. However, I'd like to point out, actually, I want to play a little game here, Noah. This team is coached by Mike Rhodes, who historically he led VCU to some tournaments after the Shaka Smart era at VCU. He kind of took over their havoc defense and still kept it going for the years he was at VCU. So Mike Rhodes is a defensively minded coach. Now Penn State is pretty bad at defense this year. I'm not going to tell you where they're at Ken Palm, Noah, but I'm going to go down. I'm just going to list teams. And I want you to tell me whether or not you think their defensive rating is better or worse than Penn State this year. Let me go down the list and pick out a few. Um, let's see here. And I'm going to keep it around where Penn State is, just so I mean, it's not too obvious. All right, we'll start with the team Illinois has played this year, UT Rio Grande Valley. Is Penn State better or worse defensively than UT Rio Grande Valley?
I mean, you'd like to think that they're better, but
They're
going
actually
in,
about 60 teams worse.
okay, yeah, well, going into that game, people were hyping up that UT team. They were, oh, they're the real deal. So, you
Yeah,
know,
but
not
still.
too surprising.
All right, so we're making it a little bit more difficult for you here. Okay, Mercer University, former home of Jake Davis.
Yeah, I mean, that one, you'd have to go with Penn State on that one.
Nope, still Mercer. Mercer defensively is better. Let's go down the list here. Northern Kentucky, the Norse in the Horizon League.
Yeah, I mean, if Penn State's not better than Northern Kentucky, then and we lose to Penn State, I'm seriously going to consider just never watching an Illinois game again.
I'm gonna throw you one more here because this will probably be this would if I had to guess, this would be an obvious one for me. But Illinois, Chicago.
Oh my God. No, I got to pick Penn State.
No, you are incorrect. Illinois Chicago is 207. Penn State is 211 in Ken Palm. So basically, what that means and what I'm thinking here is the Illini are going to get whatever they want. We watched how they beat the crap out of Missouri by 43 points and got whatever they want in the second half. Missouri defensively, I'm gonna have to do a command F here because they're so much higher up. Missouri defensively is 123. Penn State is 211. I mean, by that, I mean I'm not good
Yeah,
at math, but
that's
like.
crazy. I mean, and we destroyed Mizzou, so that's
Yeah.
really saying something.
So like we've said, we don't want to like get we don't want to get like too hyped about this game. We don't want to get our hopes too high. But all signs point to this being an absolute beatdown. Vegas has Illinois as 18 and a half point favorites right now on the road in a Big Ten game, which is pretty unheard of. Um, I don't know, man. Just looking at this one on paper, like I said, it's a business trip. It should be a business trip for the Illini. They've had more than a week off again. We saw how they responded against Missouri. We saw how they responded against Southern. I'm sorry, they haven't had a week off. They've only had 4 days off, 5 days off. But still, that's quite a significant amount of time when you consider how few days in between you usually play Big Ten games. Um, so
Are
I'm
those are those two itches, are they any good, or are they just like bench guys? Because
I'm
if they're
glad you
just
brought
bench
that
guys,
up. They don't. One of them starts. Let me go down the list of their H's because they have a few of them. I'm also curious, will Tony Bilic be on the bench for the Illini this game? Because it is technically, well, the next semester starts in like a week for Illinois. So, and he is starting at the semester. So I'm curious if they'll incorporate him on the bench in this game. That's up in the air. We haven't heard anything about that yet. But let me go to Penn State's roster real quick. They've
he
got
could
Ivan
add a
Jurek.
European kind of intimidation factor.
Yeah, we need him staring down their bench itches. So we've got Ivan Juric. He's from Zagreb, Croatia. He's a freshman, 7-footer. They've got Tibor Mrtic from, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. There's an L and a J in the first.
Ivan and Tibor.
Yeah,
That is
Ivan and Tibor.
insane.
Yep. And then they've got Mele Tunca. He actually plays quite a bit. He's a freshman from Istanbul, Turkey, so another Turkish player. He's their starting guard or one of them next to Caden Mingo. And then the last one, also, he's actually from Illinois, Chicago. He transferred last year. Sasha Ciani, I want to say that's how you pronounce it. Could be incorrect. He's a junior from Slovenia. So three freshman European and one junior European player. Um,
I'm concerned about the Turkish guy because last time we played Nebraska and they had that Turkish guy, they beat us. So as of right now, we're 0-1 against Turkey.
yes, we are on one against Turkey. I don't think Tunca is as prominent as a player as Buchtengel is. Buchtengel's had some triple doubles since then, but he is a starter, but he's a freshman. So, and then you were thinking Tibor and Ivan, they might be kind of scared. They don't play as much actually.
I mean, listen to their names. Tibor and Ivan.
I
I
mean,
mean,
we've
are
got
you kidding
Svanimir and
me?
Tomislav, dude.
I know, but Tibor and Ivan, that sounds like a movie like Frankenstein or something. I mean, it's seriously intimidating.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not playing in this game. That's for sure. I'm curious if they'll have like conversations with one another and talk like crap in Balkan.
Well, the one dude's from Croatia, so he'll definitely be chirping with Tommy and Big Z, because aren't they from Croatia?
Hmm.
Yeah, there's going to be some beef. There's going to be some European beef for sure.
Now, does that favor the Illini? Like, do you think that gets them hyped up, or is in my head the only way the Illini lose this game is if they start talking crap to the other team and if they let Penn State get in their heads and hang around with them. Because like I said, I think this should be a 30-point game.
Yeah, the only way they lose is if the European players on Penn State just like trick Merkovich and Merk just starts fighting somebody and then he gets ejected and then we would need like 3 or 4 ejections to lose this game. I would be very surprised if we lost this game. But no, I mean, when you add the European factor, anything is possible. I mean, you never know when you're dealing with Turkey and Croatia.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be fun to watch in a historic college basketball arena as well. I'm not sure the Europeans even know what this arena like signifies, or like I said, I'm not a huge old head for basketball, so it's not like the Palestra is huge in my mind, but I'm not sure the Europeans have any idea besides the ones on Penn State that are playing there tomorrow. Um, Now, if from an Illini standpoint, anything you're looking for in terms of uh, maybe Brandon Lee, maybe some Petrovic playing time. Now, I know a lot of people were pretty down on Petrovic after the Southern game. He didn't have a great performance, a couple turnovers, a couple bad spells on defense. He did have a nice assist to Ben Hummerkaus, or I'm sorry, it was Jake Davis in the corner for three. Jake Davis corner three mentioned. Um, but I don't know because there's been a few times this year where Kylan's gone down with I guess injuries that were seemingly less significant than they seemed originally. He went down with that shoulder, and I was like, that might keep him out a game or two. Then he went down with an ankle, and I was like, that might keep him out a game or two. And we talked about it with Sahil. This team is one injury away from needing Petrovic to play. Now, I know Kylan's been so steady. You have a 6'6" freshman point guard basically that never turns the ball over and averages 18 a game. That's incredible. Uh, but this is a long season and we're not even at the middle of it yet. Are you ready to give up on Petrovic? Because a lot of the Illinois fans are. They saw him play his 7 or 8. I think he got 10 minutes against Southern, which you said seven. You got a little bit more than you asked for. But are you ready to give up on the Mihailo Petrovic experience?
Listen, a lot of people right now, they're down on Mihailo. They don't want him to play. They don't even want him to be on the team. But what do I think? I think make him a damn starter. I want Mihailo. I need Petro Boomin. We need more Petro Boomin is what I think because we need him to become what he is. People say, "Oh, he's a finished product. He's not going to evolve anymore." He's not a finished product because he was a finished product in the Euro League. This is a totally different style, totally different way to play the game. You got to learn, you got to adapt. He's still trying to evolve. Now, I think his size is seriously holding him back, but there's ways to get around that. I mean, there's guys in the league who are short. I mean, it is what it is, but I'm not giving up on him yet. I need him to slow it down a little bit. And at the end of the day, it's difficult when you're getting 5, 6 minutes a game. You're antsy. You're waiting to get in, and then you get in, and then you turn it over, and you're like, oh my God, I'm done. I'm screwed. I'm never gonna hear the end of it. It's almost like what happened with Humrickhouse last season. He'd get in the game, and he'd miss a three, and then he'd get in his head so much that he would just not make any shots the rest of the night. So you want to avoid that with Petrovic. You want him to be comfortable. You want him to feel like, okay, I'm going to have more opportunities. This isn't going to be my only opportunity. And you want him to get, some reps. I mean, I understand, oh, you're taking away reps from Keaton or you're taking away reps from Boswell. Boswell doesn't need any more reps. I mean, he's fine. He's a 4-year player. He knows what he's doing. He's going to come in and give you, good performance regardless. Keaton, there are arguments he's being overworked, playing 39, 40 minutes a game. So I really want them to implement Mihailo Petrovic. And even if it's, the first, half of the season, if he's not doing too great, okay. But then maybe it's like a Will Riley situation where he comes on the second half of the season, then come tournament time, everybody's talking about Petrovic. I mean, I just don't see the point in giving up on him. Look at what Kerry Booth, that situation. I mean, it was bad for everybody. Kerry Booth felt bad. Illinois felt bad. Nobody wanted to be involved in that. So you almost just don't want to have that happen again. You want everybody to feel welcome, included. I mean, look at the Sky Clark, um, Jaden Epps situation. I mean, generally speaking, if you can avoid that kind of conflict, you should. So I don't think that they should try and, make Petrovic feel like he's an outcast or anything like that. I mean, I like the kid. He seems like a really nice guy, and I hope he gets some more chances.
Yeah, I watching the Southern game, he was playing pretty abysmally. Besides one or two plays, he had a few turnovers, and then he failed to get back on defense because he was more so complaining to the ref that he should have gotten fouled. Now, from a 22-year-old or sophomore, I guess that's not really what you want to see. You don't want to see a guy complaining to the referee, um, especially
Coleman
after.
Hawkins would beg to differ. Okay,
That
that's straight out of Coleman's playbook right there.
that's true. Either way, I agree with you in the sense that I don't want this to be a situation where Mikhailo's just sitting on the bench. I mean, he looks if he I've made an effort a few times to watch him on the bench and just kind of see his body language. Now, when Andre threw that alley-oop dunk from Brandon Lee down, he got out of his chair and clapped a little bit. But he doesn't really seem like he's enjoying his time. Maybe he was upset with his lack of playing time. Maybe he was upset with his lack of performance. Maybe he was just upset with himself. But either way, if you watch his body language on the bench, he doesn't look too positive most of the time. Kind of like Kerry Booth last year. If you watch Kerry Booth sit on the end of the bench, which I understand why it's upsetting. You just came from Europe. Now he is making more money in college than he would in Europe. That's why he came over and he's getting these NIL deals. But I'd really I think he's a piece for the future. So it's somebody you don't want to see cast out. You don't want to see him transfer at the end of the season because I think he is talented. It's just going to take practices and game time to get him unlocked. Now, if I had to be critical of his play, he dribbles the ball a little high. He's a little lackadaisical and does turn it over more than any other player on our offense. But I do think there are some key skills that could be utilized by this Illini team. People were saying he might be the next Andre Curbelo. I don't really see that in his game, but I don't know. He gets to the rim pretty well. If he can finish some of those layups, he's unfortunately shorter than like he was advertised. But uh, if you watch his tape, he was pretty explosive in the Balkan League last year. So I think there's something that the Illini could utilize for the rest of the season, especially if we have injuries. So I agree with you there. I don't want to see him get cast out. I don't want to see his body language on the bench being all upset all the time. So
He
we are.
seems kind of happy in some of the videos I've seen. I mean, in like the locker room stuff, behind the scenes stuff, he seems, a little cheery and, you know,
I'm glad he isn't the only Balkan on our team, or he would be having a miserable time, I'd imagine.
yeah, I agree with that. And he is similar to Corbello in the sense that he turns the ball over a lot
Yeah.
and they're very fast, but that's kind of about it.
So far, at least. We're hoping that turns around. But I like what you brought up. Petro Boomin. I hadn't heard that one before. I
Oh,
wonder-
that's a Sleepers Media classic right there. I can't
Oh,
take
okay.
credit for that one, but yeah,
Okay.
it's a good
Well, at least
one.
you're giving credit where credit's due, but I might take that and run with it. So now, predictions, Noah. You got a score prediction for tomorrow?
Yeah, I do. I have a score prediction. I think I'm envisioning it like I do every game in my head and back and forth action, I think it's going to be a high scoring game like we predicted, at least from Illinois' side. It wouldn't surprise me if both teams, score a lot of points because Illinois is not, they're gonna, like again, they're going to be in a weird environment. Maybe they won't know what to really, their schemes might not be working defensively and whatnot. So I think it's going to be a European clash. I do hope that the agent, what's the meet, whatever his name,
Raznatovich?
the agent for Merck and all the
Yeah.
Miskos, I can't remember his name, but in honor of him, I'm going full Balkan, and I'm predicting an Illini win. Final score: Illinois 102, Penn State 83. I think player of the game, I'm gonna have to go with Merkovich. I'm just I'm seriously sensing a big Merc just beat down this game. I mean, with the European clash going on, with the recent, you know, talk about him, oh, is he not as good as we thought he was at the beginning of the year? Or him and Brad mad at each other? I heard Brad in a press conference today talking about Merck, and he was very positive talking about him and, complimenting his style and whatnot. So I think all the stars are aligning for a big Merck masterclass performance. But I also do think Petrovic is going to get some minutes. I think that last game, maybe, and this is the thing that Brad does. The worse a player is, the more playing time he will get. So it's very possible we have a Ben Hummerkow situation where all the fans start calling out Petro, and they're like, Brad, why are you playing him? He's terrible. And then Brad doubles down and plays him even more. And that's what I'm hoping happens because I think that he will eventually find his rhythm. And I think that he can give Illinois something that nobody else on the team can give them. A ton of time. I'm not saying you need to play him 20, 30 minutes a game, but I think he can give that spark off the bench. So I wouldn't mind seeing another, you know, 7 to 10 minute game from Petro. But I do think Illinois is going to win. High scoring game. Give me Merck as the MVP.
All right. I like that prediction. I'm not sure the Illini score 102 points in a Big Ten game, but nonetheless, this is Penn State defense we're talking about. So I'm 1-0 when I make a prediction, so I'm going to continue to do that. I didn't make one. Did I make one against Missouri? I think it was Missouri I made one against. And then we didn't really preview the Southern game very well. But anyways, I'm going to make a prediction here. I'm going to say the Illini impose their will on a business trip. They handle business here. I think our Europeans are much tougher, much more European than their Europeans, at least.
Much more Pizza Hut parking lot.
Yes, somebody had to mention it. I think we've mentioned Pizza Hut parking lot on every episode of this podcast so far, so I'm glad you got it in there. Anyways, I'm gonna go Illini 86, Penn State 67. Uh, I'd really like to see I'd really like to see more. I know you said high scoring for the Illini. We've seen this Illini score a lot this year. I'd like to see the run of defense that they've been playing continue because I think that's more important for the rest of the season. So if the Illini hold Penn State, who arguably has a better offense, well, not arguably, statistics show they have a better offense than they have defense. So if they hold this Penn State team to 67 points, I'd be impressed. It's a Big Ten game on the road, so I would consider that a win defensively. Whether the Illini put up 102 or 87 or 86 doesn't bother me because we've seen the Illini can score. But both of us are predicting a win tomorrow for the Fighting Illini's first game in 2026. Happy New Year to you, Noah, and Happy New Year to our listeners as well. 2026 ideally is going to be filled with more great content on the Chillinois basketball podcast here. But if you're going to tune into that game tomorrow, 6 p.m., what is this? I'm please hoping I'm not a Peacock game. Probably Big Ten Network if I had to guess.
I don't think it's a Peacock game.
Let me check real quick. Well, since I'm on the Penn State page right here. Home Big Ten Network. Okay, I can live with that. I like Big Ten Network, assuming you get it. But
Yeah. Yeah, I do, and I like Big Ten Network much more than Peacock just because you don't have to open all these apps and it's just like, oh my God, Peacock's so annoying. They have all the NFL game or all the college basketball games today on Peacock too, and it's like, dude, just give me a break with the Peacock.
And then I know Sahil's going to this one, and he said if we're interested in having him on the podcast again, just hit him up. Maybe we'll do a recap with him depending on how this game goes. Just get his experience at the Palestra because I think it'd be pretty cool to hear like firsthand how it was. But we'll talk to him about that. Maybe we'll bring him on again in the future. We'll definitely bring him on again in the future, but we'll see about having him for the next episode. Regardless, we're hoping for an Illini win tomorrow. Any closing thoughts, Noah?
I think that Illinois is the team of 2026. It is our year, the year of the Fighting Illini. And I think that Illinois is locking in at the perfect time. They're getting all their eggs in the basket, all their Michigan eggs, their Purdue eggs, their Wisconsin eggs. And I think that we're going to go one by one. I'm going to crack those eggs and we're going to make some omelets. We're going to make a Wolverine omelet. We're going to make a Boilermaker omelet. All right. We're going to scramble it all up and eat it up. 2026 is the year of the Illini. You heard it here first.